Hi, good afternoon. This is about the third time I'm trying to make this live stream. The whole point of me trying to make the live stream today is to improve my circumstances, and unfortunately both the previous two occasions I was going to enter into panic and hysteria about my situation live on camera for the whole world to see, so they were abruptly empty, they were abruptly stopped. And I'm trying for the third time. Today has been a horrible day. And I'm left in a place where I can't put my mind to anything. In other words, the way in which my mental health affected me today has shaken me to such a point by obscuring my vision, my hearing, my emotions, my memory. It was just like we shuffled it, messed them all up. It's just put the random selector on random memory, random emotions. Vision not real, random. Same with hearing. And where I'm left, I'm sitting here, and I know there's nothing I can do to get on. It's like, imagine your life and you've got lots of stuff to get on with. And there's something wrong with your brain to the extent that I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know if it's because I'm going to have to carry mass amounts of pain to get through any task, or if my mental health decided to randomize one of those scenarios to something very painful that I'm not able to deal with. But on top of that, I've got the emotions of my life, and all I'm looking for really is a bit of clarity to see the big picture, so I can say to myself, yep, it's another shit day, nothing I can do, this is the situation, this is my life, and this is how I'm going to get on as a result of all the torment that I'm experiencing. So in other words, waiting for my mental health to stop. And in honesty, where I found myself the past week, it's a case of I was using pseudo care for humanity and the seriousness that the world is presenting to us at the moment as a reason to get up and function each day. But you can only do that for so long before your problems get in front of you. And in that place, you're asked the question. In truth, given your personal problems, and in truth, given this idea that you have about being there for people and the task that asks of you, what do you do? And the absolute truth is, I capitulate. My problems are, I believe, finely picked by spirituality in such a way that they're going to keep me down, in truth. If you're truthful to the problems, you're not able to function in this world. But they're also like hand and cherry picked so that I have to question them all the time. In other words, I can't believe this problem's keeping me down. I can't believe that problem's keeping me down. They seem so insignificant of themselves. And it's a real head fuck what my mental health has done to me. Because it's all like that sort of stuff. It's like, in truth, to your present moment, if you ask yourself simplistically, can I function, can I not? My honest answer is no. My life is done for, and I'm being put through some sort of science experiment here. Possibly something like what they did to Wolverine and what's the other one called? He's red. It's comical. Deadpool. They did science experiments to them. Deadpool came out laughing. Wolverine came out pissed off. And all the other mutants that they did experiments to, that's what it feels like. And for that reason, I'm going to take a break from this live stream to say, fuck spirituality, fuck you spirituality. It's some real sadistic shit you're doing. But it is exactly like that. I don't mince my words. That's my life. This is inhumane to a normal human being. And I'm being asked to explore realms beyond human potential. Now, that was my dream once upon a time, many years ago. Still is. But it's for me to be in control, you know? It's for spirituality to ask me, right, Andreas, you've got the chance to advance your human potential in this way, but it's going to be painful. Do you commit? And then it's for me to make the decision each time. But this, what I'm getting is a case of, I know my human potential is being pushed. Not that I can get any rewards from it in the media. It's going to be like one day when I am totally broken and dead, they'll revive me, bring me back to life, and in that moment it'll be like, right, these are your powers. But until then, it's absolute agony. I'm going through the science experiment process. There's no superpower. And I look at nature, I look at humanity, and I look at my life, and I'm like, look, man, you got the wrong guy. My dream is to live by nature simplistically with a small spiritual community, advancing spirituality in that setting. You're missing the setting. The setting was the glory. The setting was everything. Without the setting, what's the point? You want to go and advance your spiritual powers? Go and advance them. It's just another aspect of ego. But if you're true to your body, true to your life, and you just want to live in a small community, humbly by nature, firstly, and then appreciate the hunger for spirituality and know the application of ego and the demise of ego. and just allow it to bloom however it blooms within that community. But this is insane. There's nothing I can do. The pressure in my body's the problem. I found the solution to it. I remember many years ago when I left Manor in Brighton, the raw foods cafe that I was working at. I got colitis. Colitis is basically an irritated digestive tract somewhere or another. It wasn't actually colitis, it was in a different place in the digestive tract, so it had a different name. But for a period of time, I was excreting blood. It wasn't a pleasant experience at all. But within that comes the solution for my problem. Because for the past year and a half, the pressure on my body has been insane. I've not been able to function. And it's ripped me to bits. I don't like pressure when it seems to be coming from an external source. So I can't control the pressure in my body. And all I know is that when I had the colitis and I was excreting blood, it's the exact opposite. Due to the nature of your physical body, there's no way you can really go about life holding pressure. And as I said, it's a really unpleasant state to be in, but what I've realised now is my life is so painful this way, the pressure's so unpleasant. If I take the conscious application of mind in terms of healing to rip open my digestive system and create an internal bleeding, this is the only solution I can fathom. It seems extreme, and it is extreme, but it's the only option. I've been going around in samskara with this boring life, painful life, and I'm starting to realise the way to get out of it is to figure out how I can create an internal bleeding within my digestive tract to essentially stop the pressure within my body. I'll be likely excreting blood through that time. I'll likely be inactive, very much like now actually, without the blood. But I know in that place I'll regret it on some level. There'll come a time when the pain will be so much you'll regret it. But in hindsight, if I'm in control of the process, I hold to nothing with my diet in terms of healing myself thereafter. It's the only option I can see to get myself out of this horrible, horrible, horrible pressure I'm being asked to live with. So, and I was eating a lot of raw food at the time, but the way I went about it was in terms of the way I go about life, the way I go about new things. And I'm autistic, if you didn't know. So I approach it with a very OCD type mindset. And I don't like to break my will. So in other words, if I go raw food, I do 100% raw food before I feel into eating raw food, for instance. And then I can take my foot off the pedal at the right time when life says, okay, you've done raw food, you know raw food, you know the boundaries. If you want to eat cooked food now, in addition to the raw food, you have the experience. Sorry, I just need to find the lighter. You have the experience within you to manage it wisely. In other words, not let it be a problem in any way and still maintain elements of health. So the extremities of my life dictate that I'm going to have to do something so extreme as to figure out a way that I can rip open my intestines, to bleed internally, to stop my life, to remove the pressure from my life so I can live life. In absolute honesty, there's no other solutions that I can come to get rid of this fucking horrible pressure. Unfortunately, the medication doesn't help, but I'm fully aware that there was something within my disposition before that pressure was always a problem to me. I've suffered with that pressure for many years, and the medication just makes it worse. Antipsychotic medication. If you ever want to know somebody under pressure, you want to see me in hospital in 2017. I came off the most traumatic period of my life, totally broken, totally confused. All I wanted to do was cry, feel sorry for myself a bit, know that there was reassurance in this world and get on. I turned up in hospital with that sort of mentality. And let's just say the doctor, the consultant, was of the opposite mindset. It's like, the message I got was like, don't feel sorry for yourself. It's not the place or time for that. Fight. And what they did, they gave me antipsychotics that increased the pressure from that traumatic situation. And I became like a inflatable human. You know, like the tyre, that tyre company with that, on the advertising campaign, when that man is made out of tyres. He's got a name, but I can't remember it. That was me. I hate it. So that's the end of the live stream. I know what I need to do, because there were thoughts about suicide today. There were thoughts about self-harm, on not terms of, you know, normal self-harm, but in terms of self-sabotage in my life. None of that's really going to make it any better, is it? Whereas this might. So I just got to figure out how I'm going to do that. Do I eat a little bit of glass? Do I specifically acidic foods? Do I contact somebody I met once upon a time in the raw food world that's recently gone through the same process as I went through 10 years ago when I was eating raw food. And my stomach got colitis. And he suffered the same thing recently, so his mind's going to be that way. And he is a respected, knowledgeable raw food icon. I don't know what you call it. Someone in the raw food world. It's never going to be too famous in that scene, are you? It's not that big. Unfortunately, the mainstream still subsidise numbers and adding shit to food. So if you want to just sell your food simplistically, it costs more than if you add shit to it. I don't know how that works on any economic fucking system, but it is what it is. It's just like leave shit out, makes it more expensive. But then there's preservatives in it. It lasts longer on the shelf, less spoilage. Hands up if you know how many preservatives are in a McDonald's Happy Meal. That child will be preserved, definitely. Sorry, as you can tell, I am very, very, very depressed. I'm not holding my tongue, or at least I am, but you would never know. But I have my solution. I'm gonna have to do something drastic. We could look at it a bit like acupuncture, a small prick to the skin, a small detrimental effect to the body, has a long-term health impact in a positive way.
Low charge.
The pressure is unlivable, man. You have no idea. Unless you on a spiritual level, consciousness, collective psychosis level, really enjoy mobile phones. I hate them. Give you a little tidbit. With mobile phones, we're going to see a mobile phone created, well, it's not a pandemic, but it will be something on that level. In, well, when did the iPhone come out? It was around 2004, 2005, I believe. And by the time it rolled out and every Joe Schmo got an iPhone or two, or the Android equivalent, it's probably about 2013, 2014. So we're talking about around about 10 years ago now, under 10 years ago. My theory is after 20, 25 years, we'll see the full impact of something very, very small linked to mobile phones has upon humanity. And what that comes down to is posture. My understanding of health is posture. You don't have to be perfect with posture. Just be aware of it all the time. And you're allowed to relax. You're allowed to put your body in places and positions that aren't perfect. The question is not to do them all the time. And even more so, when you do something, is to be aware if how you're doing it. So in other words, with tension in your body, which can also be linked to anger. How many of you have ever sent a text message and have gone like this? You do it at 1,000,000 miles an hour, innit? We do it at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I used to do it at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I'm trying to be forced to do it at 1,000,000 miles an hour at the moment. But what happens is within that, you don't realise it. If you look at someone sending a text message, that tension in their thumbs, their forearms, their neck, hunched over like this, it's going to create mass problems for humanity. And not because of that, that would create problems enough, but because of the shape of the mobile phone. What do we do when we hold a mobile phone like this? The hands are like this. Let's see if I can get something to replicate a mobile phone. So obviously it's going to be shorter. You hold a mobile phone like this, and then just to keep it in place, we flick the little fingers in and on top of the mobile phone. That, coupled with the tension of texting and using your mobile phone, entertainment for the suffering we're experiencing in life. Save me, phone, save me. Going into very, very awkward, harmful posture. We're going to see detrimental effects in about 20-25 years. From 2014. So, 2040, if we haven't blown ourselves up yet, I'm praying to Putin at the moment. Please, Putin, save me from my misery. Firing a few nuclear bombs around the world. Put me out of my misery, please. Save me. I just heard on the news they're going to fine people £15,000 for putting out inaccurate information on the current conflict there. Does that come under truth or a lie? Would Putin save us from our collective misery if he fired a few nuclear bombs around the planet? Don't forget, the current ones from the 80s are about 100 times more powerful than what were dropped on, I was going to say Fukushima, on the 2 Japanese cities. I reckon 4 or 5 should do the whole planet. Put us all out of our misery, save us from this. And this is where I loosen my tongue slightly. This is what I really was hoping to say on fucking camera. As you can see, I'm allowing what's it called? Swearing within speech. What's it called? Come on, help me. What's it called when you swear within speech? Profanity. So I'm allowing the profanity, profane language, how do you reference it, to come through now, because I'm going to express my mind. And unfortunately, I'm going to express profanity over depression because it's easier to hear. So fuck, shit, cunt, bitch, fucking shit planet. You don't want to hear the depression. Nobody does. I don't want to hear it. So fuck, shit, cunt, bitch, bollocks, cunt, and everything else. How the fuck is it possible that we're forced to witness a war, conflict between 2 parties when the people just want to live on both sides? They don't give a fuck about the land. I've got my house, I've got my food, I've got my family, I've got my heating. You give me something to do every day with a job. What more do I want? You want to label this bit of land Ukraine, Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, USSR? Label it what you want. I've got all of this. It all stays the same. Oh, I don't care. That's the ultimate, what people feel inside of them. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to hold to the idea of a nation. But the idea of a nation and having any pride of it only stands true in relationship to the rest of the sickness that is the current world model. So I won't go into detail about that. I don't want to offend anybody. I can't imagine the pain the Ukrainians are going through at the moment. To ask them to hold to a higher truth of reality so they don't suffer more. But unfortunately, even if they were to do that, the reality is they'll still be living in the same world. And if we're all too greedy to see others suffering and we're like, no, we're just going to get on with the same model, same setup, leave them to suffer. What I'm saying is, if we were really sympathetic towards the Ukrainians, we'd all stand up and say, fuck holding pride to the name of a place, because that's all it is. And we all, as 8 billion people, decide to change the name of our own countries in honour of what the Ukrainian people are doing and being put through at the moment. We're called the United Kingdom at the moment. Let's call it something different in honour, because the Ukrainian people aren't going to win this, are they? Not when they've got a force like Russia opposing them. So they're going to lose, and they're fighting a losing battle. And ultimately their country's going to be ripped apart, and God knows what else. You don't want to think about it beforehand, do you? But ultimately the land will change a name. In the end, after another 15 years, after the sanctions have eased, and after a miracle that we can look at the Ukraine as separate from Russia again, because as long as it's under Russia, we're going to make... It's insane. With the sanctions, you realise we're fucking over the Ukrainian people. Putin's invading. He's going to take Ukraine. The people of Ukraine, unless they're willing to become refugees, are still going to live in the same place. And all of those sanctions are going to end up hurting the Ukrainian people. How can you put stipulations to those sanctions? Yeah, but for Ukraine it's all right. I'm willing to change my name to stop the misery and suffering of those people. If you just, if the whole world said, yeah, every country's going to change their name now, it doesn't matter. We're all changing our name in honour of the Ukrainian people for what the process that they're going to have to go through. Do you reckon that'll give a bit of solace to them, a bit of ease to their suffering, to know that the whole world is backing them, and to put their suffering in perspective, that it's only a name. It's more than a name, absolutely. It's more than a name. They're going to be put under the ownership of Russia. And certain things are going to look different, especially if there's sanctions. But let's imagine a more fairer scenario. So without the sanctions, Putin just comes in, takes Ukraine, and Russia's still unsanctioned. Russia isn't too bad a place to live. It doesn't look too different from Europe. It doesn't look too different from everywhere else. The country still has to function. The people have to survive. In that regard, without the West's response in aggression to Russia, all it is pretty much a name change. So I stand here and say, let's change the name of everything in honour of those people who are suffering. In honour when those people return to their homes that are fleeing at the moment as refugees, that they know they've got the whole world backing them, to see that their problem is but a name. And a few cultural changes, few social changes that will inevitably take place as a result of being owned by a different country, a different person. But how many times has that happened to every bit of land all over the planet? How many times has Europe gone to war? Countless of times, hundreds, thousands of years. This place was called that, that place was called that. This guy owned it, this country from over there, then this country from over there, then this one developed a new weapon, and then this one developed another weapon. And then they owned it, and then there was a meteor of strikes. Nobody lived there. Are you going to cry so much if nature does this to you? No, sorry, that statement is inappropriate. Are we going to cry if nature ever does this to us? No, we accept it. And we get on because it's nature. Unfortunately, if you can see a planet with 8 billion healthy people on it, looking as it is, then I'm speaking to the wrong person. We're 8 billion ill people. And unfortunately, when someone takes another country, takes another bit of land and applies their ego, it comes from a bad place. But if we're 8 billion healthy people, what does it matter? It's just nature, it's just another person. Oh, it's just that human being. He's just being natural. He's good and evil. He's just applying evil logic at the moment in terms of Putin. The awareness is the same. And unfortunately, nature will ask us to move. If a volcano erupts, if we have a earthquake, a tsunami, a meteor strike, nature will demand a lot more. All that with the right mindset would be needed to accept is the change of the name of the country and ultimately some annoyances in way of culture and society. But you will still have your homes, heating, family, friends, your place, your land, your home, where you decide to live. You might not have as many Starbucks, you might not have as many Nikes. I can't see Nike in Russia getting on too well for some reason. But what we're being asked, and this is the bit when I loosen my tongue, and it's killing me because I want a lighter and I can't seem to find one right this second. So give me a moment. And there is insight when I loosen my tongue. There isn't just a plain bombardment of depression. There's some logic to it. But it's depressing to hear, so you might want to turn off. And that is, we are being asked to witness a war as a planet. Some suffer it more than others. What I can tell you is, if you're really human, it hurts regardless. And within that war, we're seeing both the people that represented communism one day performing atrocious actions to human beings for the sake of a name. They're willing to kill, they're willing to bomb, they're willing to
Critical battery, please charge.
set fear into human beings. That's communism. And that is just what capitalism has been doing for the last 60 years. The world, the people in power, are asking us as human beings to witness war. Most countries give money to war. Some sell war. War is about killing our brothers and our sisters. For what reason? For a name? You want me to live in a world where this is the finality? This is the finality, that I must experience war on some level. Why don't we just outlaw war? And within that, we're talking about life and death. And within that, if you look at the way society is structured on both sides, they give a lot of focus to war. To war. They don't give a lot of focus to ending war, stopping war. They give focus to war. Has our military got the adequate budgets? No. Then take it away from the health system. Take it away from the schooling system. We need our security. It's fundamental to the survival of a nation, of an aim, of an idea, of a temporary bit in time. And we're asked to suffer that. We're asked to digest that. We're asked to really embody that. Because if you're spiritual, how can you watch this take place? How do you find a place in this world when that is what we're being asked to live by? And then if you have a few problems of your own, a mental health disorder, physical agony, and you're being asked to deal with that on top, oh, thank you, no, I'm done. Where's the how do I get out of here? Where's the exit? How do I ask for a refund to this life? And then you get told that euthanasia is illegal. You're not allowed. We're being asked to suffer. Within that suffering, we don't have a means of exit. They take it away from us. We're slaves to the controlling elite's wishes. Can you deal with that? We are born and locked into a world we have no real individual power to make a change to. We do, but we really have to start young and go at it with momentum. What am I going to do at 36 now? Train in a year in something to get myself in a place where I can make a little impact in this world now. It's worth it, absolutely worth it, but if you're a mathematician and you do the numbers and you know odds, how likely is it that you're going to make a change? So what do? Do you sell out? Stop your humanness, stop your humanity, stop your care, and get on with materialism as a new spirituality and lie to yourself all the way until your own deathbed? Or do we come together and say, no, we want a new script. We want freedom. We don't want to be bound by names of land. Today has made me want to die for my own problems. And then I come out of those problems and this is the world. What hope is there? I'm alone in this world. Unfortunately, spirituality, the ideas of what true spirituality means are ingrained in my bones. I've given too much energy to it. I'm never going to summon the energy given the current situation to ever match that. Think about when you're in your teens and your early 20s, all the energy you had for life. Add a few problems to that and then say, right, you're 36, match that. You see the world clearly, match that. It's never going to happen. My life is pretty much done with. I've been contemplating suicide, wanting to die. Begrudging the laws of the elite that govern this bit of land that have made euthanasia illegal. And in turn, defined our slavery, defined our suffering. And that's it. What more is there to say? How can we really truly show any sympathy for those in the Ukraine when this is the predicament? Is it a bit false? Is it a bit of a lie? So I've given you something to ponder over, and I need to lie down. The pain is too much, unfortunately. Have a nice weekend.